Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm Huck. I really just want to say thank you so much for streaming my new Scrimmage remix. Over the weekend we hit 200,000 streams and it hasn't even been a month yet. 100,000 within the first 10 days. So really cannot thank you enough for your support, and I really wanted to give you a quick little breakdown of how I made the song. I'm not going to be going too deep into anything. I just want to give a quick overview and keep this video somewhat short. So if you have any questions about something I haven't addressed, please feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you immediately. I'd love to hear from you. Please take a second and subscribe down below. Button should be right there. Really helps support the channel. Really trying to do this a little bit more. And if you do, it shows me you're interested and it'll motivate me to make a lot more videos showing you what I do. So without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off with the drums, I use a plugin called Regroover. Now what Regroover does is it takes any audio source material and analyzes it and sort of dissects it and breaks it up into 4 separate channels. For example, if I take a drum loop, put it into Regroover, immediately off the bat, what it's going to do is match it to the tempo. Then, as you can see, what it does is breaks it up into multiple channels. So if I solo this one, we just get the kick. So this is extremely powerful, as you can see already. And the way I like to use this is I will go in and mute the kick. And that leaves me the snare, the hi-hat, and a little bit of artifacts and other stuff from the recording. As you can hear, there's still sort of like the beater hit from the kick drum. And I don't mind that. I feel like that adds some originality to what otherwise would probably just be a hi-hat groove that you pulled from Splice. But it allows you to keep the groove of the sample that you like while giving you the freedom to place your kick wherever you want and sort of expand upon it in a much more original way than just layering things on top and making it muddy. So I then took my groove and just layered samples on it, and this is the final product. Also in the original recording is the main synth keypad. All that is I took a one-shot sample of a music box from freesound.org and I loaded it into the Logic sampler and added a little chorus, and this is what I got. There's a couple other synth sounds all made on either my Korg mini log or my Arturia microbrute, which I no longer have. There is this, what I've labeled duo lead, and the sound itself has an LFO on the pitch to give it that warble and a little bit of an attack that just makes it really feel like this wailing, sort of creepy, ghostly synth. On top of that, there's this other pad that I made on the mini log that's just sort of a simple sawtooth filtered pad. There's some really subtle filter modulation going on there. There is a difference in sound on the intro and the outro, which I made on my Korg LP10, which is out of frame. It's extremely limited in what it can do, but it does make this really cool synthesized electronic piano key pad sound with a built-in analog chorus. That's being run through a filter and a delay just as transitional effects, something I'm going to get into more a little bit later. The only other synth sound of note is this lead at the intro, and that is the Arturia microbrute run through a delay pedal and recorded right in. Let's move on to the bass. It's my Squier Bronco bass, extremely cheap, and it's just run directly into my interface with some compression and EQ. Side note, I would do a little more to it nowadays, but it worked and left it in for the remix just as is. Next up, we've got horns. So for the horns on the track, originally there was only the trumpet at the end, which is my friend Tariq Allen, who plays trumpet on any track I do really with trumpet in it. But for the remix, we had Tariq come back with our friend Kyle Lashley, who plays saxophone. And actually, both of them play horns in my live band for the live side of Huck. So what we did is we had them come in and pretty much just adapt the part we play for the live version of the song and just record it. Let me get into really quickly Nick Caution's verse, because that verse is furthest from the source material in terms of the remix. I kind of built it up from scratch. The sound that is really highlighted in that is a Casio CZ101 on its electric piano setting. I turned the portamento on that and threw a tremolo on it, and it sounds really cool. On top of that, I took the original music box sample and I stretched it out and lowered it an octave for that halftime feel. For the bass, it is the Novation bass station plugin on this preset called Boot It Bass, which I've manipulated a little bit, just adding some glide and adjusting the filter envelope settings. The drums are completely redone with all different samples. And additionally, similar to the music box, the horns are also stretched out and brought down an octave for the halftime feel. There's also some distortion on that. And to wrap it up, I want to talk about what I call the remix bus, or in this it's labeled the transition bus. I run everything into a bus that has different transitional effects on it. It just allows you to create moments within your song. To highlight some of those, all of the pieces of the intro are being run through a delay, in which case the feedback and the delay time are being modulated. So when it transitions from the intro into the bulk of the song, there is this delay time sweep effect. When we go from Sia's verse to Low Knowles' verse, the beat turns into this huge filtered reverb wash. The whole track is being fed through initially Soundtoys Crystallizer, which is a granular pitch shifting delay. It is then being fed into the Logic Chroma reverb, which has a freeze setting, which is being activated right as the transition starts. And all of that is being filter swept into an RC20, which is adding a little bit more stereo reverb, a little bit of distortion, and a little bit of warble, as well as a lot of EQ. Another example within Low's verse itself is halfway through, there is a tape stop effect provided by the Logic Remix effects plugin, and then the entire beat is filtered through another instance of RC20, which is on the Next Door Studio preset, slowly released over time until we get back into the chorus. And she said, when you go low, you should keep me out your mind. I admire your commitment. Quick note on the RC20 in terms of its transition factor. Instead of a dry-wet control, there's the magnitude control, which isn't blending the dry-wet of one signal or another. It is gradually implementing the effects that are built into this unit. Makes the sweeps really surprising, especially depending on what kind of audio you're feeding to it. Other than that, we just have the ending for the remix. Features a sax solo by Kyle, as well as the original trumpet trills and solo brought to you by Tariq. And then at the very end, it is a piano, which is a Keyscape grand piano, and Tariq's beautiful trumpet solo on top of it, and it just plays us out. Of course, there's a lot more. There's a lot to do with the processing that I didn't get into. If that's something that interests you, please feel free to leave a comment below or hit me up. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown. I hope you learned something from it. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a crazy music video that'll be linked below. Subscribe down below. Consider following me on my socials. I'm also streaming on Twitch. I'm so grateful for how much y'all have been streaming the track. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm Huck. This has been a Scrimmage Breakdown, and I'll see you soon.